Urjin yojin nuk jam sam Pemage sardong bola Yatsen shogin nu drunye Pema jane sudra Kodu kandro magpogor Keki jesudak drugi Jinji lapchir shek susol Guru pema siri Ojin yojin nuk jam sam Pemage sardong hola Yatsen shogin nuk drubnye Pema jane jesudrak Kodu kandro magpogor Keki jesudak drugi Jinji lapchir shek susol Goro pema siri hung Om Ahum Benzar Guru 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 Pema Sidi Hum Om Ahum Om Ahum Om Ahum Hey there, and happy Sunday. I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here. We made it through to the next round. Each time we wake up, it's another level. Another level of just the sameness. How about that? Chew on that one for during the meditation. Well, I hope you're doing well. You've enjoyed your week. You've been practicing being patient, awake and aware. Remember, we're retraining ourselves. We're retraining our conditionality that we get entangled with, those things that are based in attachment and lead to suffering, which is often just an unconscious movement through your own reactivity. So be patient with yourself as you practice. Things will come up. Things will continue to offer themselves up as examples of suffering. So let that truly be part of your experience. None of us are without it. So if you're saying, no, that's not me, I can power through it, I'm good, you're fooling yourself, because we all have that. And you may skate through your meditation practice and feel nice and calm because you're ignoring everything, and that's one way of doing it. but it'll still smack you upside the head like a brick. So pay attention when the brick happens. You're not as good at it as you think you are. None of us are. So give yourself a little dose of compassion and patience, knowing that it's a struggle for all of us to recondition, and therefore we practice. We practice every day. It's not just like, learning to drive a race car by going out in the driveway and starting it once a week or once a month and thinking that's enough. You have to get it out on the track and see how it handles and see how you handle yourself. So, not sure why the race car track or the race car thing showed up today, but we'll go with it. So, as we begin to practice, I want you to think about your natural self. Natural meditation equals natural body, natural breath and energy, and natural heart-mind. So that natural body is not too tight, not too loose, but awake and aware. The breath is vital and can help us to anchor. So we want to take long, slow, deep breaths, diaphragmatically breathing into our lower belly, breathing in with intention, and breathing out with relaxation and release. And the natural heart-mind is often the hardest part, and that's to be open and look past your preferences, look past your bias, and just see what is. See your own reactions, see the stimulus as what it is, see the reactions as what they are, and see the suffering for what it is. So natural, natural, and natural. 3 naturals: natural body, natural breath, natural heart, mind. Yeah. So, Om Ahong. Body, speech, and mind. Body, speech, and mind. So keep that close. So as we begin, we'll ring the bell in a moment and then begin with the path clearing and wish fulfilling prayer to Padmasambhava. And that's about removing our obstacles. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in today's Dharma talk. So hold on. And then we'll say our refuge prayer. And the refuge prayer is about seeing that we all have the ability to become awake in this human form, in this moment, not through a linear progression, but by simply just being and letting go of all of the attachments. We can find that enlightened wisdom. The Dharma are the teachings and the ideas that allow us to explore and find out for ourselves what is right, wise, complete, and true. And finally, the Sangha is this community, this pack of seekers, really trying to examine this practice and for the benefit of ourselves and all other beings. So let's begin. Take your seat, find your breath, and become awake and aware spontaneously in this moment. The path clearing and wish fulfilling prayer to Padmasambhava. Dosam Sangye Guru Rinpoche Nungdrup Kundak Dewa Chenpoja Barche Kunsel Dudu Drakpotsel Solwan Depso Jinji Laptu Sol Chinang Sangwei Barche jiwadang sampalunji druparjinji lob. Precious guide, one with all the Buddhas of the three times, blissful presence and source of all spiritual accomplishments, fierce destroyer of illusion who dispels every obstruction, we pray to you for blessing, inspiration, and realization. Please remove all outer, inner, and secret obstacles and spontaneously fulfill our aspirations. Now our refuge prayer, once in Tibetan, 3 times in English. Sangye chodang soki choknam la Zhongchu badu dakni kapsu chi dakji jinsongi pe sonamgi drola penshir sangye drupar shok. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. In Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, we go for refuge until fully awakened. Through the power of generosity, ethics, patience, enthusiastic effort, concentration, and wisdom. For the sake of all beings, may we realize and demonstrate our innate goodness. The great yogi Milrepa sang, "My body is the holy mandala itself, wherein resides the Buddhas of all times. With their blessings I'm freed from all needs and attachments. By day and night I offer them up. Happy am I to go without material things, knowing that all beings in the 6 realms of samsara are inherently Buddhas, and all the 3 worlds the self-creating, measureless Trikaya Palace. Whatever I do is the play of the Dharmadhatu, ultimate reality. Whoever I'm with is the Yidam deity. Wherever I stay is the Buddha's abode. Happy am I to forego outer supports, rituals, and symbols." So as we sit today, as we begin to sit, we use a little bit of chanting to help us to focus in this moment, remembering that sound and sight and taste and touch and smell, feelings, emotions, thoughts are all occurring in this present moment. This is the only moment and the most important moment for you to be concerned with. So often thoughts arise and we take little trips, time-traveling trips into the past and into the future. But instead of going there, we'll stay here, at the genesis of our thoughts, so that we can interact in a positive, karmic way, stopping those thoughts that are leading us to our own suffering. Just interrupt them before they take action. So we'll chant Lama Cheno this morning, which means calling in the Lama, but really means awakening your own Lama, your own inner teacher, to help you guide, to help you navigate your own compass, knowing what is right, wise, complete, and true, because you understand and feel it, not because you're told so. So as you begin to chant, take your posture, straighten your spine, begin taking deep breaths and chanting with that deep breath, coming in with intention and departing with relaxation. Lama Cheno, 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 Lama Cheno. Settle into the awareness of your breath, coming and going in long, slow, deep breaths. focusing and intensifying on each and in-breath, and relaxing and fully releasing on each out-breath. Watch as the breath comes and goes. Without any need to hold on to that breath or push it away. Simply allowing it to be in its natural state, coming and going. Coming and going as you see your own natural state, through the clarity of calm abiding. Understanding that our true nature is not moved by our preferences and bias. It is unshakably calm and peaceful. And feeds us as the continuum of consciousness. So just let go. If you become distracted, focus on the breath, coming and going naturally. Om Mani Padme Hum. 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 By the blessings of the Triple Gem, may the minds and hearts of all beings be attuned to the sublime Dharma. Bless us to move forward on the path of true understanding. May the way be cleared of all impediments. Bless us that the elusive vision may appear in the light of the transcendent wisdom of Buddha. May unskillful thoughts and actions cease to arise. Bless us with the awakening of true love and compassion. May all beings realize perfect enlightenment. So I want to talk about obstacle removing and path clearing for today's Dharma talk. as always, I start this service and many of my own personal practices with that path clearing and wish fulfilling prayer to Padmasambhava. And I know for myself, when I began doing that practice, chanting that chant, saying those words, that I had a different expectation and understanding of my obstacles and the path to be cleared than I do today. So for me, I know that when I first heard this prayer, it was really impactful for me and felt like this is a cry I need to make. Like many of you, know the troubles and turmoils of, the story of kind of losing everything, really. My mind on top of that, but, having difficulties with money and finances and relationships and wanting to just stop, wanting to end it, and surrendering. But even in that surrender, I was looking for things to get out of my way. When you get to, running, you want to keep running. You don't want to have to stop and move a boulder off the path or figure out how to remove a huge tree that's in the way, or a train that doesn't seem to stop, that ends up in your way, and just, it's another thing. It's another experience that gets in my way. We like to keep momentum and we want to keep going, and we are trained and conditioned to think that we must achieve and be constantly in motion, that we must multitask, and that we must be good at everything along the way instantaneously. And when we're not, our self-criticism and judgment is the loudest voice. Why can't you get it? Why can't you get out of your own way? Why me? Why do I keep experiencing these situations that bring me such sorrow and grief and suffering? Why me? And we've all had that at one time or another. Loss in one way or the other. But my understanding has expanded and grown since those days of saying that prayer in hopes that some magical force would just wipe away anything. That's kind of mistake number one. You realize it when you look back and see, that's what I was doing. But there's a thing that we really do. We're hoping that the penny that we throw in the fountain will magically do something to make things just easier. And we look to an outside force to find us worthy and grant us wishes. 3 wishes on the lantern, whatever it may be. We all want our own personal genie. And we'd still love to have it. I'd still love to have those 3 wishes. I think just deciding what they would be my turmoil. I digress, but my understanding, I will say, of my greatest obstacles has been clarified through practice. When we can learn to sit in that stillness that is the continuum of consciousness, that all-pervasive, ever-present, unending force of consciousness, presence of consciousness, we can really start to see. And first I'd like to just explain the difference between that consciousness that I'm talking about and our self-awareness, our self-consciousness. There's absolute and relative. So everything and self, right? So we know in essence we come from the everything, right? We're not apart from or outside of that which is everything. We're part of that. We came from that. Whatever way you want to think about it, scientifically, that we all are made of stars and of the same matter as the entire universe. So there's that interconnection. So in an absolute sense, nothing matters. And in a relative sense, where we live, everything matters. But one is not apart from the other. So in a relative sense, we think about these obstacles, and when we really distill down the obstacles, those that get in the way of us getting what we want, right? That's really what we believe obstacles to be, or getting where we want, getting to that place outside of the condition or the situation that we're in now, that we dream or aspire to be in. But that obstacle is an illusion. And it's an illusion of preference and bias. And that's part of the relative experience. We like things, we don't like things. We label things. Categorically, our brains love to organize things by good and bad, true and false, black and white, whatever it may be. We like to categorize. The brains like to categorize. And for good measure, right? That's hot, don't touch. Perfectly explainable why it needs to do that. However, that absolute space, that all-pervasive continuum of consciousness that allows us to see those preferences of this relative self. And I can say, that's something I like, that's something I want, and that is a preference. So there's that consciousness that can recognize that. That's a human, that's a Ronn preference. I like that, so I want that. I want more of that. I don't want anybody to take it away, right? And the suffering comes when I can't get it or someone takes it away, right? Just as simple as that. But that continuum of consciousness is unaffected by what my relative self wants or likes or dislikes. It's unaffected. So when you know that you can see that you are having a reaction based on bias or preference, that is relative self, 1,000%. It is based on your relative self. And that's just part of how that human nature, that human body works. Perfectly fine. But getting trapped in the unconscious reactions to that bias is what creates the suffering, right? When we just, don't take it, I want it, get it away. Those preferences, yuck, wrong, ew. Those are all preferences. And that continuum of consciousness, that unaffected, crystalline-like consciousness, luminous consciousness, is absolutely unaffected by what I like and dislike. It does not have the same preference or lack of preference for cilantro that I do. Right? Ugh. It doesn't care. It has no reaction that way. So we want to utilize, when we can recognize what's the difference between my relative reactions and that which is unaffected. We use that space of unaffected to help us to examine and analyze what's actually happening. So when you take those obstacles that are things like pride and aggression and self-denigration and so forth, we work with those things that we're experiencing. When we can see, yeah, I have a particular pattern that is based on my bias, right? Based on my preference. And we know that that preference can be seated in fear. For instance, let's talk about, that elephant that we've dealt with for some years now, political preference. We divide ourselves, we divide our society with these ideas based on fear. Oh my goodness, they're going to take everything. Oh my goodness, they're going to screw everything up. They're going to give it away so much that there's nothing left. Hoard, hoard, hoard. Mine, mine, mine. Don't take what is mine, which I like. Please give me what you have because I need. We divide on that center line based on fear of not enoughness, that there isn't enough for everyone, right? So we take things like that, and that is your practice now, to analyze and really examine. That's how my relative self is reacting to that idea or thought. And it can be anything. It can be as mundane as, my bleh for cilantro, right? I get pretty rooted in that. And, when it shows up in my food, I'm not happy. I do believe at that point my meal has been ruined. My experience has been ruined. It's all relative. It becomes the relative autopilot that drags you into suffering. I just got what I don't want. Ugh, now it's just terrible, right? Or I don't have what I think I need. And that's just terrible. So it becomes our practice to examine when we can seat ourselves in that vantage point that is unaffected. So as you work with this idea of recognizing preference and bias, labeling it as such, I can also see and let it go. Let that bias just do what bias is doing, what preference is doing in the relative self, and you can sit in that vantage point of being unaffected. We can only truly examine that which is so close to our relative self through the absolute self. Yeah? I know that can be hard to grok, but work with me. That is how you start reducing your own obstacles, clear your own path, because you see that those obstacles are illusions seeded by bias and preference of the relative self. Big thought. So give yourself a little room to play with that, understand that, think about it. This is not just Ron said it, so it is true, or Ron said it, it's false, whatever side of the equation you're on. But sit with it yourself and sit with the sensation and the understanding that attachment is suffering. And attachment is bias and preference. So how not to suffer from that bias or preference is to be conscious of it. See it for what it is. Preference. Bias. Cilantro. Right? Right? So, think about that. Ponder that. Examine your own experience and take those things that are closest to you and most frequent to you. What state are you typically in? What gets you annoyed? What gets you agitated? What gets you upset? Follow that down and understand your preference that is at the base of that. And the reactions that come from the basis of bias. So you take that on. That's your practice to truly understand. And as you begin to understand it, your obstacles and path do become clear. And not because we threw a penny in a fountain, but because we understand the illusion for what the illusion is. Yeah. All right. So, with that, let's begin to close this practice, this daily practice, or this weekly practice, with the 4 Dharmas of Gampopa and Longchenpa, and our prayer for 10 accomplishments by Lama Surya Das, followed by the Bodhicitta dedication, dedicating that all understanding comes from our heart-mind and is shared with all other beings through our inseparable interconnectedness. Bless and empower us that our minds and hearts turn toward the Dharma. Bless and empower us that our Dharma practice becomes the path. Bless and empower us that the path truly dispels confusion. Bless and empower us that the confusion itself dawns as primordial awareness. Rigpa. Prayer for 10 accomplishments. May we realize true sincerity and integrity, inner purity of mind, dispassionate equanimity toward all we see, right understanding of this dreamlike world and the next, loving compassion toward others, and the genuine intention to be helpful in alleviating suffering and confusion. May we directly perceive the truths of impermanence, mortality, and interconnectedness. Relinquish wandering thoughts and rampant desires. Accomplish freedom of mind and clarity of spirit. Remember with gratitude those who have gone before and shown the way, and vow to reach together full and complete enlightenment. Zhongchup Semcho Rinpoche Makye Panam Kegyur Chi Kepanyam Parme Payong Gong Ne Gong Du Pelwar Shok. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. May the pure, brilliant sun of bodhicitta dawn in each and every heart and mind, dispelling the darkness of suffering and confusion, unstoppably until all are illumined and awakened. Body, speech, and mind directed toward awakening and for the benefit of all beings, without one single exception. Have a great week. I'll see you each day. We'll be doing our afternoon meditation at 2:30, pretty much each day. So come and show up, and I'll meditate with you. You can meditate with me, and then I'll be back next Sunday for another Dharma practice. See you soon. Bye now.